So let's install Windows Server Backup in PowerShell. So if we do a get Windows feature and pipe that through more, it's going to display a list of all of our Windows features and whether they're installed or not. And Windows Server Backup is going to be one of the last ones that we come to. And so you'll see it right here. Now what we're looking for is going to be this right here. That's the name that we're going to use to actually install it. So the command is install Windows feature Windows Server Backup. Now, as we're installing this, I will tell you I am not a big fan of Windows Server Backup. It's fine for small applications, but I think there are much better backup options out there if you're wanting a more robust, more flexible multi-server backup. I think you can do much, much better than Windows Server Backup. However, we're going to go ahead and walk through the process of installing it real quick. And then in a couple of subsequent videos, we're going to show you some things about working with Windows Server Backup. All right, so this installed our Windows Server Backup. You'll see it's all installed successfully. We don't have to restart. So now let's look at some commands for it. So we're going to do get command module module Windows Server Backup. And for this one, we don't have to use the dashes in it. Let me go ahead and pipe that through more. All right, here are all of our commandlets and aliases and everything else for Windows Server Backup. Everything within that Windows Server Backup that we just installed. Now, Windows Server Backup works using policies. So what you'll do is you'll create a Windows Server Backup policy, and then you'll set all of the options in the policy before you execute the backup. So let's real quick get command noun WB policy. And here are our commands to deal specifically with policies. So get will display it, new will create a new one, remove will get rid of policies, set will set options, some of the options for your policies, but everything is going to revolve around these policies. Now, using Windows Server Backup isn't necessarily intuitive, especially doing it from PowerShell. The policies are a big part of it. But there's one other component, and that is, let's do the command get -wb or Windows Backup disk. Now, this will display the disks in the system and that can be used by Windows Server Backup. And so you're going to see we have two disks here. And specifically, I want you to look at the properties here, because these are properties as it relates to the Windows Backup. So this one contains critical volume, which means we can't use this for a backup disk. This one here, however, means we can back up from. We can't back up to. This one here, notice its property indicates that it's a valid target. It means we can use Windows Server Backup to back up to this disk. Also notice this associates the volumes with the disk. So on this disk we have the system reserved in the local C. On this disk, which is the one we set up in a previous video, we have our backup volume of R. Now if you've got just a single physical disk in your server, you're going to have some issues running Windows Server Backup because it has limited numbers of targets that it can hit. It can back up to a local disk, which is what we've created here. It can back up to a shared location across your network. In some instances, with one-off backups, it can back up to rewritable DVDs. But there are some real limitations to it. So get WD disk is going to display what we actually can back up to. Now, one other thing you need to know about working with Windows disks. You can take an entire disk and allocate it as a Windows backup target. And in that case, Windows Server's backup will take over the entire disk and you can't do anything else with it. You can also back up to a volume. And that's why we created this volume here. If you allocate the entire disk, it's not going to show up in File Explorer. You're not going to be able to navigate. You can't do anything with that disk. It's devoted exclusively to Windows Server Backup. But by using a volume, it means we can back up to that volume, and then we'll be able to do some other things with it as well. Okay, so at this point, Windows Server Backup is installed and ready for us to begin working with. So that's going to be our next video when we walk through doing a one-off backup with Windows Server Backup.